So my presentation this evening is just to give all of council and the public a heads up that a new council procedure bylaw is on its way. This presentation will just outline the reasons for a new bylaw and some of the highlight proposed changes to the new bylaw. Then I'll also go through an engagement process that we'll be doing and giving you basically an update on the next steps. So why a new council procedure bylaw? Our current bylaw, number 7060, was adopted in 2007. There's been 3 amendments since then, and they've just been minor amendments. Good governance is one of council's priorities. And consultants prepared the Watson report in 2013, so it's been 5 years now since that Watson report was conducted. Many of the recommendations that that report made have been implemented, but there are a number that were involving a new procedure bylaw that haven't been done. There was staff previously that had prepared draft bylaws, but the work had not been completed. We need to address council decorum and proper parliamentary procedures that are absent in our current bylaw and would be a very useful tool going forward. So this is a good opportunity for change. The new bylaw combines recommendations from those consultants' input and research, and it will be written in a clear, concise, plain language way, and it's a useful tool for this council and future councils. So a summary of the bylaw updates will be the next several slides. This is a combination of the consultants' reports. We had 2 previous parliamentarians come in and draft some bylaws and recommend some changes. And this is a combination of that, as well as, since I've been the city clerk the last couple of years, things that would have been very useful for me had they been in our procedure bylaw, as well as recommendations that members of the public have made at the podium and councillors that have made here at the table have provided a lot of input that has influenced the changes that you'll see coming forward. So some of the changes are, it addresses the absence of parliamentary procedures. So proper steps for reconsideration of a matter, points of order, tabling or referring a matter back to staff, and proper time to debate a bylaw at the appropriate reading of the bylaw. All of these will be laid out in the new procedure bylaw so that if there is any question on parliamentary procedures or Robert's Rules of Order, the important ones are written right into the bylaw, which then helps provide more weight and a reference that we can turn to, and it's not just somebody's knowledge of Robert's Rules of Order, it's actually written into the procedure bylaw. Requirements for raising hand to vote. Right now it's written in our current procedure bylaw that the way voting is handled is by a raise of hand in the affirmative. The absence of a hand raised is still a vote in the affirmative unless you raise your hand when the chair calls for those opposed. eScribe allows for voting to occur on tablets and appear on the screen, so keeping technology, how it's advancing in the future in mind, the new procedure bylaw will allow for this as we get to that point with our technology. Council decorum. It's not mentioned in our current bylaw, and the new bylaw will outline clear guidelines for acceptable conduct and debate, and this goes not only for members of council and staff, but also members of the public when they're at the podium, and it will assist in better meeting management. In-camera meeting times. So right now, our bylaw is silent on in-camera meeting times, which is why if members of the public or council have noticed there's a meeting change for every council meeting, we have a meeting time change, pardon me. We changed the time of all of our regularly scheduled council meetings to account for the in-camera meeting times. Other than that, if we didn't have that, we would have to have a special council meeting. So if some of you remember several months ago, I've changed it to changing the meeting time, but before that we'd have to have 2 agendas because each in-camera meeting would have to be a special council meeting. So this would just account for, it would really assist in less staff time and resources in producing double agendas and constantly changing the notices to accommodate the start and early time. So the regular open sessions would still commence at 7 p.m. Late items and addendums, if we moved the printing and publishing of the agendas to Thursdays, which previously years ago it had been done that way, it would eliminate the need to have an addendum, which would cut down on staff resources and late items. Again, these are just potential changes, and council, I'll explain with the next steps your ability to provide further input. Public can sign up to speak on an agenda item until Monday if we were to move the printing of the agenda to Thursdays, and they'd be able to sign up till Monday, and there would be no addendums and no extra late items added besides the delegations and any items council would want to bring to at the meeting. Committee of the Wholes, these would be brought back to their originally intended format, which is a less formal meeting where issues are brought to the table, can be debated and discussed fully before coming to a council meeting to be voted on, much like you do at the Regional District of Nanaimo. And this will aid in shortening council meetings, as a fulsome discussion would already have taken place at the Committee of the Whole meeting. Speaking limits, nothing in the current bylaw addresses speaking times for members, so putting limits in place will help move meetings along and stay on topic. Members can make a motion and vote if they wish to speak longer, and it will aid in helping meetings run more efficiently. Summary of bylaw updates continued. Consent agenda, this is one of my favorites. It's a list of various items and recommendations to address those items. Matters excluded from the list include items pertaining to the financial plan, the annual municipal report, and changes to any strategic plans. But this will give a list of all items besides those three that I've outlined there. Council may vote on and adopt in one motion all of those recommendations listed in that consent agenda, unless one of the members of council would like an item removed. You don't need a motion for that. You can just request for it to be removed from the list, and you can debate and consider it separately. Public hearings, right now, they're not addressed in our current procedure bylaw, so it will outline the process. The new bylaw will outline the process, and it's designed to assist the chair and council members by stating proper procedures to follow. Supporting policies, there is a new section which clearly defines when a supporting policy would be helpful to provide additional rules to support the new bylaw. Council would adopt these policies, and policies are easier to amend than the bylaw because they just require a resolution of council, not an amendment to the bylaw. And with the procedure bylaw, it requires publication notice of changes to the procedure bylaw. We have to provide notice in the paper in accordance with Section 94 of the Community Charter. So in conclusion, these updates that I have just, or proposed updates that I have just listed, are issues that have been brought to the attention of council, problems that are apparent to me as the corporate officer, and it clearly outlines the rule of order and parliamentary procedures, which I believe would be really beneficial and a helpful tool in a new procedure bylaw. So the next steps, which I don't have a slide for, is we have already, like I stated earlier, had 2 parliamentarians complete drafts of work done by staff, which also included a survey to mayor and council a couple of years ago. Lisa Sworn, the parliamentarian, surveyed you for your proposed ideas. Members of the public have come to meetings and provided suggestions. Mayor and council have provided feedback and suggestions to myself. In doing this job, I've come across issues that had been spelled out clearly in the procedure bylaw, it would have been of great assistance to me in my job. So going forward, the draft bylaw will be on the Committee of the Whole agenda for August 27th. So the draft will be there with the current bylaw and the changes proposed. For council to provide feedback and suggestions and get a detailed explanation of the changes at that time. There will then be a public engagement session on August 28th with Lisa Sworn, parliamentarian, who will go through this procedure bylaw process and allow for public feedback. The community charter outlines the public notice that must be provided under Section 124, and Section 94 of the charter must then be followed. So Section 124 says when you plan on updating or amending your procedure bylaw, you must follow the notice requirements in Section 94, which is just basically publication in the newspaper. I plan to take it a step farther and also have that engagement session as well as a fulsome discussion with council at a Committee of the Whole. My plan then is to have 3 readings in front of you, hopefully by October 1st, and then adoption for October 15th. And this will allow the incoming council to not have to learn 2 procedure bylaws. They'll just have the one new one that you have helped to create and implement that will hopefully be a really good tool for that council and future councils. And that's it.